Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're looking at three of the best motorized controllers on the market. To my left here I've got the Pioneer DDJ-REV7. To my right here I've got the RANE ONE MKII. And up top there I've got the big boy, the RANE Performer. So I'm going to be telling you the key differences, the similarities, and by the end of the video I might tell you which one is the best one for you. So let's get into it. So when you look at all three controllers, the first thing that jumps out to you is the layout. The layout on DDJ-REV7 is more of a turntables layout. It's very easy for you to do a lot of performances while you're playing on the controller. You can do things on one side, and it's very easy for you to access things on the other side as well. Meanwhile, on the RANE ONE MKII, you've got a traditional layout, which is what the RANE Performer has as well. You could be playing a track here, you want to do your stems here, and it's very easy for you to do your stems here and do something else on the other side. On these other ones, you got to stretch your hands a bit to do things, to get things done. I'm not going to complain too much about the RANE Performer because it's a 4-channel controller, so I don't really see how they can fit this same layout on this. Where they've got the pitch faders here, it's at the top. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't have a background in playing on turntables, so I'm not really used to having my pitch faders up here, but I do understand it. The next thing that jumps out to you is this controller here doesn't have a Q button. There's no Q button anywhere. You only have start and stop. There's no Q button anywhere. On these other ones, you've got the Q buttons there. You've got the Q there. Former Q is much bigger. This is a bit smaller, but you still got the button there. You can press it at any time. Here, you don't have that. So that's one thing that is missing. The other thing that is missing from this controller, to me, it might not bother a lot of people, is the big jump. You can't do big jump on this controller if you're doing stems on the roll. Right now, you can't really see it because all three controllers are connected to my computer. If you're using this controller on its own and you try to do stems on your roll, it takes away your ability of using the big jump. The only big jump buttons that are on this controller are on here, on the roll section. I don't know why they don't have a physical button to do your big jump. That's the big jump for the RANE ONE. Right there, those are the big jump. You can adjust the size of your jump. Same thing here. When you press that on Serato, you can see it jumping up. Here, you've only got it here. And once you replace your stems with the roll, you don't have the ability to do the rolls anymore, and you don't have big jump. So if that is something that you're really into, you might really want to consider that because you're gonna miss on this controller. You don't have physical big jumps like I said earlier. This didn't have stems when it was made. I understand this came much earlier before these other two controllers. Well, the first version of this one came before this. It never had stems button. This one does have the stems button. This is a Mark II. It's got stems button there, and right there. The RANE Performer, it's got your stems buttons here and here. Press those two, and now you've got, it's blinking, you've got your stems here, you've got your vocals, you've got your melody, you've got your bass, and drums. You gotta do the same thing on the other side as well. Say you're playing a track and you want to take that, you just, they're there. Those scratch banks turn into your stems. The other way for you to access your stems on this controller will be to hold shift, your flanger and your reverb. Then it turns your EQs into stems. So if you're playing a track, so that turns into your drums, that turns into your melody, that turns into vocals. That's really neat. So the third way will be for you to go through the roll. You change that on your Serato, and you can change the roll or the sampler or whatever, whichever one you want to choose here. You can change it to be your stems, but you're gonna be losing something. If you change it to, if you use the sampler, you're gonna be losing the samplers. If you use the save loops, a lot of people don't do save loops, so you might as well use that. But yeah, those are the ways you access stems there. On these other two controllers, they're very similar. So I'm gonna show you on the RANE Performer. If you wanna play with stems on RANE Performer, you've got 3 ways as well, but it's just a lot neater. It's got the buttons there. So say for example, you play in this track. So say for example, you're playing that. If you hit on the acapella, when you hit on the acapella, I've already set it on the controller. I've set it on these two controllers that you have echo out on the drums and the melody. You can't do that here. Once you hit the vocals, it just goes. There's no echo, there's no effects going on the stems on these 4 buttons here. Here, you've got the ability to do that. You keep playing that. You want to take out the vocals. You hit the instrumental, you take out the vocals that way. There's echo or whatever, echo out on that as well. So you've got the same ability here. You got me going. So these two are more stems heavy. This is not, because this came out a long time before. I think it came out a year or a couple of years before stems became a real thing for Serato. So it's missing a lot of things, which makes it feel a bit dated. Like when you're playing on it, you just don't have the ability to do things you can do with stems on these other two controllers here. In terms of stems, I'll give it to these two controllers because this wasn't made with stems. The platters on these, they're very, very nice. The platters on all three of them are very, very good. They're very nice platters. It feels to me like RANE took a lot of things from here and brought it to their controller. This one is more traditional 7-inch turntable kind of platter. For all three of them, you can adjust the platters. RANE give you a few options. I've just got one of that, and it feels really good. I've got two. It's practically the same. It's all the same system. So here you've got two. You can decide to do as many as you want as well. Meanwhile, on here, you've only got that, and they'll give you a couple of washers to make it loose. If you have just a slip mat and you add that on top of it, it gets a bit tight. I don't know if you notice, it gets a bit tight. But if you take that up, pop one of those washers, put that on, pop that on. So it spins. It's much better that way. If you buy this controller, just make sure to keep your washers. So you can always, I think they come with 4 washers. You can always try whatever works for you. And in the end, you'll figure it out. Up until now, I haven't bought any slip rings for the Performer because the slip rings that come with it, they work at some point they weren't working very well. I used a bit of, I don't know if I should be doing this, but I used a bit of the Deoxy F5 fader loop to sort of clean it a bit because it was looking a bit dirty. So I cleaned it a bit and everything feels much better now. In terms of the platter, this has got a screen on it. This has got a screen. This has no screen. When you play on this, if you've got fat fingers like me, when you're playing on this, there's a chance you're gonna hit your finger on this. Like it happens to me every time. I keep hitting my finger. I keep hitting it on this, so that's a thing to consider. So this controller has a dedicated silent cue button. You can be playing music on the other side and you just hit that, bam, and it just brings it in that way. These two, they have dedicated buttons, but once you swap the silent cue for the sensor, you don't have the sensor anymore. I like using the sensor because sometimes you're playing at private events and there are kids there and you forget, and you can just easily hit that sensor and it sort of brings it back. But once you swap the silent cue for the sensor, you don't have the silent cue anymore. So you just gotta work that out how you want to do that. In terms of the platters, but I'll say all 3 platters feel very, very good. They're all fantastic platters. So it's more about preference. Do you want to have the screens or do you just like the traditional one? Either of them work for me, but like I said earlier, I keep hitting my finger here. So if that concerns you, you might have to look into that. The effect paddles on these two feel a lot more premium than on this. This feels very, very too plasticky. I don't know if you can hear it. It feels too plasticky. This feels very premium. Like it just doesn't feel as nice as this feel. These two feel a lot more premium in terms of the build quality, paddle effects, the knobs and everything. Feels more quality than this. The crossfaders, all 3 crossfaders are very good. These 2 controllers have got legs that sort of pop them up a bit, gives you more height for you to work with. If you can see, I don't know if you can see it on the video, but this is a lot lower. These ones pop up and you can sort of hide your wires and cables underneath it. In terms of powering the controllers, I hate what they've done here. I feel like this should have been an IEC as well. They've got the bricks here. So you have a special cable that you gotta use for this. These ones, you can power them with the normal IEC cable. I've had an event in the past where I left the cable for this one at home, but because it's an IEC cable, I just grabbed another one and plugged it in, and it was all good. If it was this, it was never gonna work. You got EQ at the front here, but the EQ controls the 2 mics. You don't have independent EQ for each of the mics on this. These 2, you have independent EQs for each of the mic. You've got Put mic 1 here, put the mic 2 down here. But the 2 mics are down here for this one. On this one, you've got them here. You've got the 2 mics here, and you've got highs and the lows here that control the 2 mics. So in terms of the mics, I'll give it to this. So the other thing that is missing here, you don't have the key shift on this controller. These two, I've got it. There it is right there. For this, it's right here, the key adjust. This one doesn't have it. I have it mapped on Serato, but there's no actual physical buttons for key adjust here. So just keep that in mind. So in terms of the stems, this has more stems, like you've got the stem roll there, down there. You've got the stem FX down here. This doesn't have it, that doesn't have it. So I feel like RANE can just update this and bring the same thing here. But as of now, this does more on stems than either of these two controllers. I spoke about the display earlier. Displays on this are very, very good. You've got different display modes. On the REV7, you've got the display on the jog wheels, and you've also got central display in the center of the console. On the RANE 1, you've only got that little central display at the center that shows you the FX and the menu, while on the RANE Performer, you've got a lot more. You've got the OLED display that show you everything that you need to see on your performance pads in your performance area. And you've also got the central display, and you've also got the display on the jog wheels. You can label the cue pads on Serato, and when you look on your performer, it pops up and you know exactly what you've labeled it. So it makes it more fun and easier for you to recognize what you've set the cue up to be on the performer. The mic on this, the only effects you get on the mic here is the echo. Here on this two, on the performer and on the Mark II, you've got the echo and you've got the reverb. So you've got multiple effects. You've got 2 effects on this ones. This one, you've only got 1. On this, you've got different modes. Apart from the performance pads you've got down here, you've got different modes that you can still access here. So if you just do that, click that, now you're on your cue points. This takes you into the stem roll. If you hit that, the scratch bank, with the click features up here that these other 2 don't have. Another thing that I really love about this controller that these 2 don't have is the instant scratch. You don't have to plug into a computer to access it. Plug it into a speaker and you've got it right there. Practice your scratches and there's no problem. You still also got your scratch banks as well, apart from having the instant scratch. Here you've only got your scratch banks. And if you want to access your scratch banks, you got to double click on that and there you get your scratch banks there. Same thing with this, you have your scratch banks. To access your scratch banks, you take that and hit that. And those are the scratch banks that I have on this controller. This has got more in terms of you practicing your scratches because you don't always have to turn on your computer. You can just turn on the controller if you connect it to a speaker and you can start practicing. These 2, you got to connect to the computer before you can practice your scratches on them. On these 2 here, if you want more effects, you just got to hold that and scroll. And that way you get into different effects that you want to put in there. Once you get whatever you want, you just hold down and it saves the effects. It's the same thing here. You hold that down, you scroll, and you have your different effects there. You hold the effect and you scroll as well. But the only problem I see here is you can't save the effects on the fly. On this 2, you can. This one, you have to go into the utility before you can save the effects. The other thing that is missing on this board here, the color effects. You've only got the filter here. You haven't got any other effects. If you don't want the filter, you got to go into the utility to swap the filter out for something else. So you've only got 1 color effect on this. On the RANE 1 Mark II, you can get into different color effects, what you don't have here. So you just got to hold shift and you tap on that. And that takes you, if you look on the screen here, I don't know if you can see it, it takes you into the different effects that you can change into, the color effects. So you've got the filter roll, you've got the noise, you've got the flanger, and you've got the filter. Here, it's pretty straightforward. You just tap on either of them, and you've got what you need. In terms of Serato controllers that are not all in one and motorized platters, I think these are the best 3 that you can buy right now. In terms of pricing, this is the most expensive. Go figure, it's the oldest. It's the one with the least features, but it is the most expensive. Followed by this and this. I think this is 25% cheaper than this and that. Me personally, I would always go for this, for the RANE Performer. I've had it for over a year now and I really love it. Every time I play on it, I still keep loving it. I don't think you can compare these 2 controllers because this is a 4-channel, this is a 2-channel, This is older. This has got more features. The Performer has got, I think, hands down in most departments, I would always choose the Performer. The only reason why I would pick the REV7 over Performer is the layout. It's very fun. It's very enjoyable when you play on this layout. But apart from that, I think this is hands down a much better controller than this. My opinion. The more comparable controllers is these two. I think they're more on the same level for me. Even though this is 25% more expensive than this, I think they're on the same level. Again, the only reason why I would pick this over that is the layout. In my opinion, these two are more comparable. You can't compare them with that because this is a big boy. I think this is leaps and bounds better than these two, because that's a 4-channel. A 4-channel to me, it's always going to be better because you have the ability to do a lot more with a 4-channel than 2 channels. But if I was to compare, I'll compare these two, and it's much of muchness to me. This is 25% cheaper. This is very expensive. This feels a bit dated. This is newer. This has better layout than this, so I don't know. Which one do I go for? I would probably lean a bit towards the REV7 because of the layout. I know this has got a lot more functions, but because of the layout, I'll probably lean towards this. Between this and this, I'll pick the RANE Performer. RANE Performer to me is the best Serato controller right now, apart from the RANE System 1. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you found this informative. I hope you found something interesting in this video. Comment what other controllers you'd like me to compare on this channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.